Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Poonam Chawla, an assistant professor with Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies in Rohini. Today, we are going to discuss the interesting subject of training needs assessment, and this is part 1 of the series. The learning outcomes associated with this module are: what is training needs assessment, why these training needs arise, when these training needs arise, and who should participate in need assessment program, and finally the need assessment process followed by the summary. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the role of organization analysis, person analysis, and task analysis in needs assessment. They'll also be able to understand the process of training needs assessment. Now, let us define what is training need assessment. A training need is shortage of skills or abilities which could be reduced or eliminated by means of training and development. Training need analysis identifies training needs at employee, departmental or organizational level in order to help the organization to perform effectively. The aim of training need analysis is to ensure that training addresses the existing problems and is tailored according to organizational objectives. Also, it is delivered in an effective and cost efficient manner. Training needs analysis involves monitoring the current performance using techniques such as observation, interviews, and questionnaires, anticipating future shortfalls or problems, identifying the type and level of training required, and analyzing how this best can be provided. The next issue is why training needs arise. The gap between actual and expected performance, behavior, attitude leads to emergence of training needs. The main purpose of training is to achieve objectives of any organization. Thus, training needs arise when there is a requirement to move to a particular level of performance or behavior or attitude. When to train? We should train when there is a gap in the level of performance, behavior, and attitude. Secondly, we should train when there is a generic need for training. Third, when training needs are assessed and some gaps are identified. Fourth, when training is imparted as per assessed. When do training needs arise? When existing level of performance, behavior, and attitude of employees is not contributing to the success of the organization. Secondly, when the level of motivation and morale is low among the employees in the organization. Third, when employees themselves convey to the organization through management about the key areas in which they are not competent. When there is a need for updating the knowledge of employees as per the industry scenario. This is especially the case in relationship to market scenario and legislation. When the organization is intending any employee development for promotion or succession purposes. Another reason could be when business plans or business strategy demands new orientation in knowledge, skill, attitude, or behavioral orientation. Last, when there is a change in politics, systems, priorities, procedures, management expectations, and focus in the organization. Who should participate in needs assessment? The goal of needs assessment is to determine whether a training need exists, who it exists for, and for what task training is needed. It is important to include managers, trainers, and employees in the need assessment process. Traditionally, only trainers were concerned with the need assessment process. The next slide shows the key concerns of upper level, middle level, and trainers in need assessment. There are some practical examples of training need assessment. They are, for example, training is imparted to a cricket team so that they are brought into the existing level of performance to the desired level of performance. Training, both technical, voice and accent, is imparted to the candidates joining any BPO industry. Management students go through on-the-job summer training process before starting their career in management. Even nursery class teachers receive training before they are expected to develop toddler kids. It took years of training in dance, music and action before Hrithik Roshan could become an overnight star. Pilots go through rigorous training before they earn their pilot's license. A church or temple priest has to go through a stringent process of study and preparation. Cadets are trained at special defense academies before joining the army. Organizational analysis. If the organizational analysis indicates that the company wants to devote time and money to training, person and task analysis is then conducted. Organizational analysis focus on three factors to examine when determining if training is an appropriate intervention or not. The company's strategic direction influences training to the extent that in companies where training plays a significant strategic role, more money is invested in training and the training function is more likely to be structured as a virtual training organization or as a corporate university. Support of managers and peers for training activities is very vital and critical. Another key factor is managers and peers' willingness to help create opportunities to use new skills, knowledge, and behaviors back on the job and to make trainees aware of those. Training resources, including money, time, and expertise, need to be identified in the organizational analysis phase. When external consultants will be used for training, a request for proposal or a document which outlines the potential candidates, what services the company is seeking, the type of timeline, the kind of funding, etc. All these issues will be addressed there. This will create a standard set of criteria upon which to evaluate consultants. Questions to ask vendors and consultants include, for example, what type of experience does your company have? What are the qualifications and expertise of your staff? What evidence do you have that your programs have been very effective? When choosing an external consultant, it is very important and eminent to consider how customized the training will be to one's organization. Person analysis in training need assessment. Person analysis helps to identify employees who need training, that is whether employees' current performance or expected performance indicates a need for training. Person analysis helps to identify Who needs training by examining whether current and expected performance match? Employees' readiness for training refers to whether employees have the ability, attitude, belief, and motivation to learn. The work environment will maximize learning. Performance improvement needs are indicated by customer complaints, low performance ratings, accidents, errors, and unsafe behavior. It identifies factors that influence employee performance and learning by the way of motivation to learn. Person characteristics include knowledge, skill, abilities, attitudes, and motivation. The input includes the instruction and the resources that are provided. The output includes the job performance standards. Consequences are referred to the incentives employee receive for performing well. Feedback or information employees receive while they are performing their job. Let us discuss person characteristics. The first is basic skills. Basic skills are those skills that are very necessary for employees to perform successfully on the job as well as learn the content of training. A literacy audit can be used to indicate employees' basic skill levels. Cognitive ability. It is related to successful job performance, which includes three dimensions. Number one, verbal comprehension, which is an individual's capacity to understand and use written and spoken English. Second is quantitative ability, which is how fast and accurately one can solve mathematical problems. Third is reasoning ability, which is the person's capacity to create solutions to problems. It includes the reading ability, which is related to job performance and training success, such that inadequate reading ability impedes performance and learning. Training material should be presented at an appropriate reading level for the trainees. The difficulty of reading material is referred to as readability. Readability can easily be determined by analysis of sentence length and word difficulty. If reading ability doesn't match what is needed to comprehend training material, it should be determined if audio tape or videotape could be used. Instead, employees' reading skills could be assessed and those lacking the necessary skill could be reassigned to more appropriate positions or provide remedial training to those with reading deficiencies. Self-efficacy is the employee's belief that he or she can successfully perform on the job or master the content of a training program. It can be increased by number one, letting employees know that the purpose of the training is to improve performance rather than reveal their incompetencies. It provides as much as information as possible about the training program and its purpose is mentioned prior to the training. It shows employee the training success of their peers. Making employees aware that learning is under their control and that they have the ability as well as the responsibility to overcome the learning obstacles that they experience. Awareness of training needs, career interests, and goals help employees motivated to learn. The link between training and areas where employees need to improve should be emphasized. Slide number 25. The input relates to the instructions that guide employees on how and what and when they should perform. Situational constraints include lacking the necessary tools and equipment, materials and supplies, budgetary support and time to perform. Social support is the manager's and peers' willingness to provide feedback and reinforcement and to provide opportunities. To ensure that the work environment supports trainees' motivation to learn, provide them with material, time, information, and work aids necessary for employees to use new skills before the training begins. Speak positively about the company's training initiatives to employees. Reinforcement employees using new skills, knowledge, or behavior. Provide feedback to arrange and encourage work group members to support each other. And lastly, provide the time and opportunity to practice and apply new skills and behavior. Output here refers to the job performance standards. Lack of awareness of performance standards may result in a substandard performance. Understanding the need to perform up to standards is important for learning to occur. Consequences are the incentives that employees receive for good job performance. If employees do not believe in rewards or incentives, or they think that they are inadequate, they may not be motivated to perform even if they have the necessary knowledge, skill, and aptitude. Trainees' motivation to learn can be enhanced by communicating them the job, person, and career related benefits of learning that they will derive. Unmet expectations about training programs will hinder motivation to learn. Work group norms may encourage employees not to meet performance standards. Norms here refer to accepted standards of behavior for work group members. Feedback is the information employees receive regarding their job performance and whether they are meeting performance standards. Employees need specific, detailed, and intricate feedback regarding their performance. Feedback also needs to be frequent to influence their performance in the organization. Slide number 29. If employees lack the knowledge and skill to perform and other factors above are in place, training is likely needed. To determine if training is the best solution, assess whether the performance problem is important and could potentially cost the company significant money or lost production. Employees do not know how to perform effectively, training is likely needed. Employees cannot demonstrate the correct knowledge or behavior, training is likely needed. Performance expectations are clear and there are no obstacles to performing well. There are positive consequences for good performance and poor performance is not rewarded. Employees are receiving timely, relevant, specific, constructive feedback about their performance. Other solutions such as job redesign or transferring employees to other jobs are not feasible and also are an expensive cost for the organization. Task analysis. Task analysis results in a description of tasks performed on a job as well as the knowledge, skills, and abilities required to perform those tasks. A job is a specific work position which involves and requires the completion of a defined set of related tasks. Now let us define what is a task. A task is a specific work activity that is a component of a job. Certain knowledge, skills, abilities, and other considerations are required to perform each task. Knowledge includes facts, figures, and procedures. Skill is the competency to perform that task, whereas ability refers to the physical and mental capacities required to perform a task. Other considerations include conditions under which tasks are performed, such as necessary equipments, environmental features, time constraints, safety considerations, or performance standards. There are four primary steps to a task analysis. A job or cluster of jobs are selected to be analyzed. A preliminary list of tasks performed on the job is developed by interviewing and observing employees and managers, as well as talking with others who have performed a task analysis. The preliminary list of tasks is validated or confirmed typically by asking a group of subject matter experts to indicate how frequently the task is performed, how much time is spent performing the task, how important or critical the task is for successful job performance, how difficult the task is to master, whether performance on the task is required of entry-level employees, the knowledge, skills and abilities required to successfully perform each task are identified via interviews or questionnaires. Training content and prerequisites can then be determined. Key points to remember when conducting a task analysis are: task analysis should determine both what employees are actually doing on a job and what they should be doing. Task analysis starts by breaking jobs into their subunits of duties and tasks. Use more than two methods for collecting task information to increase the validity of the analysis. Information should be gathered from subject matter experts, which will include job incumbents, managers, and other employees who are familiar with the job. Emphasis should be placed on tasks that are necessary to achieve company goals and objectives, which may or may not be the same tasks that are the most difficult or time consuming. The summary of the module. Training need assessment states that training can be developed to help the organization accomplish its objectives. Conducting a need assessment is necessary and important to ensure the success of a training program. Often, organizations will develop and implement training without first conducting a needs analysis. These organizations run the risk of overdoing training, doing too little training, or missing the point completely. We have seen that the rationale for developing a training program depends heavily on identifying training needs and justifying the costs and benefits to the organization. The ongoing process of gathering data to determine what training needs exist. Without a clear understanding of needs, training efforts cannot give desired results. The trainer will only be successful and perceived as such to the extent that needs are carefully assessed and programs developed and carried out that meet those needs. The end result is the precise picture of training needs, which results in improvement of performance. Thank you very much. I hope you understood the module well.